Hey guys, welcome
Hello.
back to Mayday. What? Wait. Welcome back to Mayday. That's what they do on podcasts.
Yep.
And we're kind of a podcast, but we are not a true
crime
crime podcast.
podcast.
We
Yep.
are a general mysteries
Yep.
podcast. And I thought we should say it together because we're together. This is our first time. We have our
Yep.
the conspiracy board. And what are we talking about today, Elena?
Alex from Tennessee.
We're talking about a young gent named Alex from Tennessee.
That's a little too close for comfort, let's just say.
It's always, and you know what? So I'm moving.
right.
I'm moving back to Ohio. That's where I'm from. That's why Elena has the adorable accent and I don't. I moved here when I was 9, and I guess it was just too late.
Yeah.
When I go up there, they call me Bama and stuff.
They do that to my mom too, and she didn't move down here till she was in her 20s.
Oh, wow.
And when she goes home, they still are like,
She
"You
has-
hillbilly."
She does have it.
Yeah.
That's weird. I would have thought your mom was born here with her accent.
Oh no, she was born in Toledo, and she
Oh.
never lived in Alabama till she was in her 20s.
One day we should discuss the Alabama to Ohio pipeline.
Oh yeah,
Because it's a real thing. I meet people from here more than it. Maybe it's that effect where you like see a car because you just bought it, so you see that car over and over.
you know what else was crazy? Aunt Susan was technically born in Ohio.
We're all coming for your state. All of us that were born in Ohio. I was born
Yep.
in Miami-Dade, or not Miami-Dade. That's Florida. I don't know where I was born. Miami County. That's probably not right. They're gonna come for me. I don't remember. Why don't I remember the actual county I was born? It's been a long time, and I'm old. I've lived here most of my life. I consider myself a Southerner.
Right.
I mean,
So does my mom, which
that's a little.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I guess maybe it's just been long enough.
Yeah.
You know, I was 8 going on 9, I believe, when we moved here, and I'm a little tiny bit older than that now. Just a hair, but
smidge.
it's a svelte little line,
Yeah.
you know. But so I do consider myself Southern. I do wish I had the accent, actually. Everyone here gets rid of it on purpose when they move, and I don't feel that way. I think it's
I
adorable.
love my accent.
Yeah, your accent's adorable. But I do have... I have the idioms, and I don't know it until I go there. Like, one time I was with my dad. It was like a Father's Day cookout.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Do you want another hot dog?" And I was like, "I might have me one." And he was like, "You might have you one?" I was like, "Yeah, I might have me one." Okay. And he was like, "Wow, you really have lived there too long." I'm like,
Oh no, I got one. I got one for you. Ask me how I'm doing today.
"Elena, how are you doing today?"
I ain't no finer than a frog's hair split 2 ways.
I ain't never. I ain't never.
It's a mouthful, so you gotta have it ready. Finer than a frog's hair split 2 ways.
When you introduced, well, I'd heard it I think before, but I think you reintroduced me to your aunt saying that dress is uglier than homemade sin.
It's my top tier.
That's top tier. I like when the older people say, "Do I look like I got Boo Boo the Fool stamped across my forehead?"
That's a good one.
My mom will say, "If the creek don't rise." I think that's a kind of an elegant
I got
Southern.
another one. Be like, "You're lying." You gotta say it like you're
Okay.
lying.
This is just forget the internet
Right.
history. This is just a
Yeah.
Southern podcast now. You're lying.
Lying, I'm crying, ain't shed a tear.
Okay, wait. Now okay. Say something like that's really factual.
Like that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Tell the truth and shame the devil. That's a favorite.
Oh, I'm gonna have to use that one.
Yeah, I love it. Tell the truth and shame the devil.
Yep.
I ain't Boo Boo the Fool. Now you go down the road a piece.
Right.
We're gonna go down the road a piece today to Tennessee.
It's just up the road. It literally is just up the road.
Yeah, we're
a piece.
in North Alabama,
Yeah.
so we are actually, it's
Right.
weird. We spend a lot of time in Tennessee.
Yeah.
I think North Alabamians do.
Yep.
And I'm gonna be traveling through there soon. But the reason I brought up Ohio and then all of that magic
Whoa.
happened is that I feel like an overwhelming amount of stalker cases and true crime cases I look into are Ohio. And I had a stalker. That's all on my TikTok told me there. I had a stalker when I was a kid for years. Really creepy. And a true, our whole family had a stalker. He came in our house, messed with our stuff. Very creepy. So I'm going to do a little bit of a content warning because this one's weird. It's like it's an internet mystery, but it borders true crime. It's scary.
Yeah.
And I have a few references that are really disturbing true crime cases in here, because this is based on 4chan. Now, if you're not familiar with 4chan, it's an absolute cesspit. And when I said that on TikTok, somebody said, "Don't call my childhood dwelling place a cesspit." I said,
well,
a little true. And here, yeah. I don't think 4chan was always that way. Like it's kind of like Reddit, like they developed around that era.
Yeah.
And, they're very classic forums. And they used to have and they say they're still there, but I don't feel comfortable even going to 4chan because the main page, which is where this happened, it's B and Poll are the main pages. They're filled with actual illegal, terrible things.
Oh no.
I went once out of curiosity just to see what 4chan was. I saw illegal, think about the worst things. I don't want to say them, but the worst things, and I saw them there. Revenge, adult content, it's just flooded. So they say that they're still, and I wouldn't know, but because I don't use it, but they say there's still cooking forums and normal stuff. But I feel like most normal people, be a little judgy, maybe I shouldn't, but I feel like most people have gone over to Reddit. Now, if you guys have a good reason why you're still using 4chan and I'm just being ignorant, for the knitting or whatever, then you can let me know, because maybe I just don't know. But yeah, it was an old school forum kind of website. And it really hasn't progressed the way Reddit has. Reddit is looks more modern. It's more with the times, and Reddit cleared out some of the really bad stuff.
Yeah.
Reddit used to have subreddits with bodies, literally just about bodies. So I think that it's gotten together a little bit. So there is a little bit of a warning. I have a reference for a true crime case that happened there, just in here, and I told William, I was I'm weirdly desensitized to this stuff because of all the content.
Yeah.
It punched me in my chest. It upset me. It just hit me weird. Yeah. Just one of those times where I was that's awful. Yeah. So that's your warning. But I got this set up a little more like a story today to tell Elena, because I love Elena's reaction to scary things. So that we are different. But I'm very hard to scare with stories or horror movies. But I'm very easy to scare when we go to out.
Yeah.
Ghost hunting. Because it's usually because it's there's going to be spiders and rats and stuff. We literally have seen nests of spiders, a giant rat,
huge,
huge rat. And then they still went in, and I was sorry, hey guys, how's it going?
Yeah.
There was a rat, I'm done.
Yeah.
So that's kind of our opposite, but Elena is my number one favorite person to watch horror movies with.
Oh, I just get so wrapped up. I turn myself over to it and get involved, and so it's very real.
She holds a pillow up against her face.
I'm that person for sure.
And I hate gore because I really think it's because of my stomach issues. I maybe that's a cop-out, but I think it might be a colitis thing where I actually get a weak stomach from something that's gross. So I watch kind of this at the gore, but I don't get scared. I just get grossed out. Elena's
terrifying.
She makes it so much fun.
It's not even the gore that really... I can handle gore, okay. It's the jumps and the fear of what's around the corner.
No, I'm jealous.
Or where's it at?
Well, she elevates the experience because I'm always I wish I was scared. I don't think I'm cool. I just anyway. So we're going to tell this a scary story. So this took place in 2013. It is an older thing, but what I think that's kind of interesting because it's still not totally solved. And we're going to talk about the pros and cons of this just being a hoax and is it not at the end. So this took place in 2013. It was in a non-poster who popped up on 4chan's B. Now remember, that's the collective forum. And they claim to have a prize hidden on their property. And they're posting really disturbing photos along with please show up. They're begging somebody to show up and root around on their property. Very odd. Some of the things they say: it is warm here, no cops here, coming for the prize. And they're posting these pictures of this dirt environment, and it's just bizarre. It almost looks like a cave, but a man-made cave from dirt. So they post coordinates, and those coordinates lead to a cluster of warehouses in East Tennessee. Now that's specifically Elizabethton. And one of the warehouses was identified online as the old Bimberg plant. So people know exactly where this is. It's right next to a Walmart too. And nobody was biting because 4chan, it's one of those weird things where like there have actually been so many documented real horrible things that happened there. But even when those horrible things happened, people were skeptical because they figured it was just
a hoax,
trolling, because the internet in our heyday, like our teen years, was a nightmare.
Oh, God, yeah.
Like, people, your friends, people you trusted, would send you emails with the most hideous stuff you'd ever seen.
Oh, like I used to get all kinds of, like, jump scare emails or, like, videos where it would be, like,
mutilated stuff. Like,
well, do you remember the one where it was, like, a game, and when you got so far into the game, and the thing would pop up? I, like, flipped over in my chair.
Yeah, I definitely hurt myself.
Just,
yeah, your trusted companions would send you, like, actual sick things.
Yeah.
Because that was the sense of humor. It was really messed up. Like, sick stuff. People I liked, and they wouldn't do that now. It was just, we thought that was funny.
Yeah.
Because I think it was because the internet was so new that you were shocked that it was out there. That
you
could see it.
To that. Yeah, definitely that.
So, a lot of times some of these things end up being true, but they never trusted it because they thought it was just like a troll doing like awful stuff, like trying to shock. So when nobody's really caring, there's a lot of jokes,
Yeah.
Nobody's caring, so the original poster, the anon poster, he starts upping the ante. And he posts a picture of a rotten hand, and what looks like kind of a mummified, rotten skeleton. Like it's like a pelvic bone area, and then like the skeletal or like the spinal column.
Yeah.
And next they post a trash bag, and they say, quote, "I've had my friend for a long time now. Not what matters today. I need people to come."
Yikes.
Yeah. And then they show themselves hiding a note, it's like a little yellow piece of paper under the garbage bag, which I think the implication is that there's an unalived person.
Yeah.
I don't know the rules of YouTube as well. I have to say them on TikTok, in this bag. And they say, "Singing tonight, someone come." I don't really know what that means. I think that's part of the mystery. That was one of the ones that nobody really ever knew what that meant.
Yeah.
Singing tonight, someone come. So, someone decides to go. It's Alex. From Tennessee. But here's like the strange thing. Alex just kind of pops up in the thread. Like I don't want to read you the first post specifically to show how kind of random it is, because he's almost talking like people know what's going on.
Yeah.
So he pops up in the thread, and then he goes and he starts documenting. The first post he makes is, "Alex from Tennessee here." That's where the name comes from. "At location of creepy guy, came early." So it's weird because he's speaking to everybody on 4chan as if they knew he was going or came early. It's
hey guys, I'm here.
Yeah, Alex from Tennessee here. Like, nobody knows who you are. Well, now we do, but all right. So then he starts documenting. He's underground under this warehouse. Again, it's the photos. It's very dark. I have some of them. I'm going to insert some of them. I feel like in the off chance that they are from an actual person, it's disrespectful. I'm not going to put those. You can look it up easily if you're into that. But it's like this dark cave-like environment. It's just dirt, like dug out dirt. So he says it's super dark. It looks like the guy is growing something. It sounds like he agreed to meet this guy. He keeps saying he beat him there. So there's this implication that he's peeking around while he waits for the guy to show up. He says it looks like creepy guy, that's what he calls him, carved this place out of dirt, and it's huge. So it looks like a man-made hidey hole under this factory. So right after he says it smells like rotten food, he says he hears a car. And then he goes and he pops his head out, trying to find the car. He says he didn't see anything. So it's just kind of like, it's settling in that it's a little disturbing. He describes finding likely stolen scrap and weirdly wires. So I'm going to put a picture of that. It's like a bundle of like really new looking wires, but he's not sure what they're for. So he hears a rustling at this point, and then finally he finds the bag, the friend. Remember earlier the creepy anon poster says, this is my friend. Says he's scared of what's going to be inside of it, but he opens the bag and describes a mummified pelvis. So it's going to be the same thing from earlier that's seen in the photo. He also describes a mummified bat or rat, it's hard to tell, and a folded paper plate. Now the paper plate has writing on both the outside and the inside. So it's folded kind of like a taco, like you would do when you were a kid. The paper plate on the outside says, open prize, hide eyes. And then on the inside, it says, plates a date, a very important mate. You shouldn't have come here. I lied. So there's that big missing piece of what they talked to, like, how did they link up?
Yeah.
And I'll get to that in a second a little more. But so he's reading this plate, and there's a hard drive, like a large hard drive inside of the folded paper plate. And those are the messages on the outside and the inside. So then the bag starts moving. Yeah. So apparently it's a giant garbage bag. The first things he pulls out are like the pelvis and the mummified animals, but there's additional Walmart bags in there. Now it's right next door to a Walmart.
Right.
So it kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
And there are bound and tortured possums inside of the Walmart bag. Yeah, it's so sad. I love possums. So he says they're like all tied up. So he frees the possums and they run off. And all of this is documented in photos except for the possums.
Yeah.
But he says that's because they ran.
Right.
You know, they're hurt and they're so sad. He finds a ton of old pills, like really old pills. Like it's kind of like on a shelf area. There's a cache of all of these old pills. And he says they're so old that some of them are older than me. So
oh, wow.
That's just a creepy detail. Suddenly he hears what he describes as someone's driving really slowly over the gravel and says it must be time for my date. He says, you know, it's weird because he's agreed to meet the guy, but he kind of seems like now he wants to get out. So I'm not quite sure on that. He says he's looking for a second door. He's decided to leave. He finds a mailbox on his way out with more dead animals, and just like a weird mailbox not attached to anything with more dead animals inside. And he doesn't find a door, but he says he finds a crawl space and a window. So Alex is walking through. He finds this crawl space and a window, and he says he can hear the guy now inside the cave with him. And he decides to leave through the window. But when he gets to the window, he realizes it's not actually a window and he was wrong. The window ends up being a vent, not a window. And Alex says, okay, I got to turn back now. I'm going to have to go back out the door. And if you remember, the guy is inside now, and that was his last post. Alex was never heard from again. So we know that he's stuck at the vent. We know that he's trying to get out through the way he came. And we know that he says that the guy is now inside with him. And that's the ending.
Oh, that's awful.
Yeah. Forever. That's the end of the story. Forever. And before I get to some of the internet arguments, the pros of it being a real event that happened just the way it's described, and it's fake argument. I've got some points from the internet. Who is this 4chan? Have you ever seen that?
What?
It was like an old news story about Anonymous, and the news anchor was like, who is this 4chan?
Oh, no.
It's like a very famous
That's
internet
funny.
meme. What do you think?
My logical brain wants to say that it's not real. That,
Right.
like, it's totally... I want to say that Alex and Creepy Guy are the same person.
That's the general consensus.
And that... Because it's all too, like, oddly written the way, like, he says everything. But, like, I don't want to say the fun part of me, but, like, the one that wants to believe is like, ooh, that's
that scary
so
stories are out there.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, so that's the number one thing people say.
Yeah.
So which one should we do first? It's real or it's fake?
Do the real ones first.
Okay. So one of the biggest arguments that I would personally have, and, you know, I've seen people bring up, is that highly disturbing things have been posted to 4chan many times. Like actual true crime cases that originated on 4chan. And the example that I mentioned earlier that I used that really, like, got me for some reason, just broke my heart, was a man who strangled his girlfriend and posted pictures of her, like, sprawled out after he had done it. And I think the thing about it that really punched me, I don't know, it just hit me so funny. I was like, oh, it's so heartbreaking. I mean, obviously it's terrible, but, you know, certain things just hit you worse than others.
Yes.
He started the thread with, it's a lot harder to strangle people than in the movies. Like, it was so casual.
Yikes.
This picture of this woman, and, like, and then the most heartbreaking element of that story was that he knew her son was coming home from school, so he wrote, sorry about your mom. And it was so sad. Like, I'm actually, like, heartbroken. I'm trying not to tear up. He wrote, sorry about your mom, and left. And the kid, like, found his mom. Like came home from school, saw the sorry about your mom, found his mom. That's a real thing that happened on 4chan. And the guy thought people were going to be like, awesome. Like, and that's happened quite a few times where there was another really horrible one I read about, but I can't remember it right now. But I've read about several really awful true crime things that happened on 4chan. So it happens.
Right.
There's a precedent, I guess would be the argument. If it's an ARG, because people will be like, oh, it was an ultra reality game. Now, an ultra reality game, because people always ask.
Yeah.
It's basically where you set up a fictional story in the real world. So you might include like puzzles and ciphers and clues so that people can solve all the way to the end. And there's an ending to the story, but a lot of times it's like you solve a puzzle and it takes you to a website or it takes you to a YouTube video and then that takes you here and takes you to a forum thread. This lacks the hallmarks of an ARG.
It does.
Which this was earlier internet, I guess you could say. It could be one of the foundations of ARGs.
Maybe.
But it does, there's no puzzles to solve.
Yeah.
And it doesn't go anywhere. If it's an ARG, why would Alex disappear forever?
Right.
There's no puzzles. He doesn't come back. He's, the hard drive seems like a setup for an ARG. It seems like if this was an ARG, if I was making it, then I would set up, the puzzle would be, here's all these things I found on this hard drive. And then those would include additional story about who the guy was and like...
we just get nothing.
Yeah, because I'd be like, okay, guys, it's Alex. I got out. Yeah. Like, I managed to dodge him and
I punched him and ran and here's his hard drive.
Yes, and then there would be additional puzzles and clues and things like that. That makes sense, but that didn't happen.
My whole body was like cold. I felt like the chills from this story.
Well, because I do think that's suspicious.
Yeah.
The internet tends to say everything's been debunked. There's actually a subreddit called Nothing Happens on the Internet or something that really, is funny. And it's basically people don't believe any weird thing. If there's not a perfect answer, it's fake. It's been debunked.
Well, like with this one, though, it's not a setup for anything. So, I feel like that's a hard argument. The way it drops off, it's not getting anything publicity. It's not... like you said, solving a game. There's no end or...
Yeah.
That's what makes it, hard to... a pro that it's real.
Well, that's always what gets me. I just did Sad Satan on TikTok, and of course people were like, this is fake, it's been debunked. But the argument... For one thing, they're never... Not never. Sometimes they're fully debunked. Usually they're not debunked. It's an opinion, just like we talked about with Hotel Zaza. So with Sad Satan, people are like, oh, he just did it for publicity. Well, that's not debunking. That's just your theory.
Right.
And that makes no sense. Sad Satan was a video game. It's basically was a YouTuber who played this video game link he got from the deep web. And then the YouTuber never posted again. That's why the publicity debunking doesn't make sense to me.
Because he never posted again.
Right. Why are you people are saying, oh, he did it for, promotion. But he never posted again. So what was he promoting? And the game's not for sale.
Yeah.
No money made, no clout made. And then here's my last point on it's real. Why never confess? So there's a really good internet story called Ted's Caving Journal. We've mentioned it on here before.
Yeah.
And it's a really long read where this guy, it's supposed to be his real, reminds me of Mysterious Package Company.
Yeah.
Where it's supposed to be his real caving journal.
Yeah.
And it turns really paranormal at the end. There's these howling sounds in the wall.
Yeah.
And Ted eventually fessed up that was his real caving journal. But he added the paranormal elements, which makes it feel super duper real because it was just a caving journal.
Yeah.
So it's been since 2013. Why wouldn't Alex eventually at this point be like, okay, Alex, that was me. I did the whole thing. I mean, at some point, it's your story.
Right.
Now that kind of leads me into, or let's go to our first, it's fake, because I feel like it's a good transition. It could simply just be the hoax. Just for the sheer purpose of creating... it's an internet hoax now.
Yeah.
It lives forever. It's we're talking about it. Lots of people talk about it. Just a hoax. Doesn't have to be a game. Doesn't have to be anything else. It can just simply be a scary story hoax. Obviously, the biggest thing was your initial reactions. Everybody's initial reaction, OP is simply Alex.
Right.
The original creepy guy, Anon poster, same guy, just making the scary story. It's an ARG. Yeah. But again, we've talked about why that's not likely.
Yeah, I don't think it's... If it's any of these things that, would make it fake, I don't think it's an ARG. That's, like, my least likely.
I think this is a really good point in the fake column. Weird to be able to take such good and plentiful photos while scared in the underground in the dark.
That was going to be another one of my points. If he has something that he can post and take photos with, why are you not calling the police?
Yes. Well, why go there? Which there's always stupid people.
Oh, yeah.
Horror movies will teach you.
I wouldn't go there. One, I wouldn't go there alone. That's suspicious. But then also, if I have the capabilities to post clear photos to the internet, at some point, I'm calling the police, my mommy, my husband.
Well, why did he... The biggest thing that drives me nuts about the story is he just jumps into the fray with, like... it sounds like they agreed to meet. Right. He talks about them, like, oh, my date's here, he's not here yet, and then he runs. That makes no sense. Why are you running? You just said you agreed to meet him, pretty much, is what he's saying.
This is something that would require more research than maybe we would even have access to. You said this took place in 2013. Mm-hmm. And so these posts, since they were posted, would have, like, dates that they were posted. And stuff. I would wonder if there's any reported missing persons from that area around that time.
People have looked and not found. That is something, that information is out there. People have checked. Yeah. I think at one point people were like, oh, this is it. And it was a... unaliving, and then you unalive yourself. Yeah. I'm trying to avoid a ban. But, in that area, but people realized the year was wrong. So there's nothing... but that did happen in that same exact area, which is strange. I should have looked into that more, because that's an interesting talking point. Maybe I'll do an update. Because there is a news story in that, like, perfectly in that area from what I read.
That would be something that I would investigate to, either to prove or debunk were there any missing persons... Just even across the state of Tennessee, because,
I made a note, because I think just going on what you're saying, like, bouncing off of that, here's a really weird thing. There were comments on Reddit, like one of the biggest Reddit threads about this, an old Reddit thread. Yeah. That mentioned Alex being approached by the creepy anonymous guy in the Walmart, but I could not verify that on any other source. So I think maybe the original thread is corrupted, which would make sense. And if you guys have heard this and I just am being an idiot and totally overlooked some big thing everyone already knew. If everybody's like, yeah, that's pretty key. I looked a ton of places. Yeah. On the Reddit thread, here's what was so frustrating. They were all responding to a deleted comment. Oh. Like, the deleted comment had a ton of upvotes, and then everybody was responding, talking about this Walmart thing. But no context was, there's a Walmart right next door to the warehouses. And the gist of what I got from what they were saying... No, stop that. My cat's trying to drink out of your water bottle. The gist of what they were saying was that Alex said he was approached by a creepy man in Walmart and said, hey, do you hang out on 4chan? Do you read over there? You should look up this thread about the place next door. And that's how he ended up into the whole thing. But I could never find that anywhere. But that seems like the missing piece. Right. Because he does show up very much like, hey guys, Alex, so I'm early for my date. Like, so that seems like the missing piece. But I mean, it's old. It's an old thread, and it's 4chan so buggy.
Kind of missing pieces to it.
And that's kind of one of the other arguments, is that he wasn't a part of any of the initial stuff, but he just appears. Yeah. I wrote, if fake, where body parts come from? That's
another thing, because they were posted. I had another point, but now it's gone. Oh, has anyone ever went and investigated this location now? Anyone else?
I saw a ton of I'm going to. Yeah. I didn't see anybody saying that they had. I'm sure they have, but I saw a ton of people like, man, that's real close. That's 15 minutes from me. I might just go down there, but I didn't see anybody saying that they had.
Who I would call every person I knew.
It's gonna be like the big, where people are carrying torches.
Yeah, no, I would get as many people as I could get.
And this is the South. I'm not a big fan. I get scared of firearms, so bring them. Yeah. If we're going to where Alex, Tennessee, or Alex from Tennessee disappeared, you're bring it all.
Everything you got. Yeah. I'm bringing everyone I possibly know to this.
It's just...
Y'all ain't getting me today.
Not today.
Not today.
Yeah, that's pretty much the story. I mean, he never popped up again. There's no real satisfying conclusion, and there are good arguments. Now, one of the things about the like bones and things like that is somebody argued that the hand didn't look human, and it doesn't. Once they said that, I'm not gonna post it just in case it is.
Yeah.
But I don't think it is. I went back and looked, and it's an animal. Like the hand looks like a person when you first look at it because it's like mummified. Yeah. But when you look again, it looks more like a raccoon because of the nails. Or like
that's
claws. Yeah, I'll show you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put pictures in here, but not of that stuff.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of the whole story. I felt like this was very short and sweet. Is he snoring?
I thought it was my phone vibrating.
No, that's my cat.
He snores. So cute.
I have a giant Maine Coon named Gus, and he's really old, and he snores like a human being.
That's precious.
He's very sweet. He's the sweetest cat in the world. Like I'm not gonna bother him because he's snoring good sleep, but he is so sweet, guys.
Well, I thought my phone was vibrating.
It did sound like
it.
Yeah, I kind of like the shorter versions of these too. I thought that was just kind of like a fun little one and done. But we will be back soon.
Yes.
We might be going back to Zoom though because I'm moving.
No, but at least now we've been working out the kinks.
Yeah,
through it, so.
I do like this so much. But this is the first one in person, and I like it so much.
Yeah,
but
it's a lot of fun.
Now we're gonna go film some extra content.
Yeah.
For TikTok for you guys. So.
Follow on TikTok.
Yeah, follow me on TikTok, Portraits of Ghosts. I'm still trying to get her to start.
And like and subscribe here.
Like and subscribe. Hit that bell. We're posting. I'm trying to post classics every time I think of it, of our old ghost hunting and one of our favorites though. I told you I can't post.
I know, I'm so sad.
In case you guys didn't know, it's very important.
Yeah. You
can't just read the Reddit stories, and I understand why. It's like a creative endeavor.
But that's my favorite.
Yeah, probably our favorite video we ever made together. I read a creepypasta to you and our friend Tajalik. More her friend. Yeah. He's gonna say something if he sees this, but I love Tajalik, but he would say they're like closer friends. But and Tajalik's hilarious too.
It's very much like devil angel on it. Like, he's just like
that ain't scary.
Right, and I'm like
and like he's making fun of it the whole time, and Elena literally jumps and screams and it's like
the twist got me on that one.
That one's so creepy. I kind of got chills a little thinking about that. That's a good creepypasta.
Good.
I'm a fan of creepypastas. I felt bad. I never read creepypastas on my TikTok. Right. I never did that.
Yeah.
But I would sometimes summarize because it was in the vein of the internet mystery. So I have a few different things I do, which is why I'm constantly gaining and losing subscribers. Because I have 3 avenues. I do art, like creepy art, like the Portraits of Ghosts, where I tell a ghost story and I draw the ghost. I do secret societies, and secret societies send me mail, and I unbox the mail. And then I do internet mysteries. Yeah. So I try not to do. Sometimes I'll do a true crime, but I'm not. I just feel like it's so done, and But I do a lot of internet mysteries, so I would do sometimes Let's Not Meets. And I would summarize them because I considered them, the famous ones, to be internet mysteries.
Right.
And I realized, I was told very forcefully that you cannot do that. So that's sad. That video is kind of lost to the abyss. And I do get it. I could you can do it with consent, which I'm an artist. I do get that. Don't share my stuff without saying I did it. Don't pretend you did it. It's I always credited, and I thought that was because in the art world you credit.
Right.
You share it and you say, but I guess it's unique consent for the stories. Yeah, especially if they're traumatic. I might look for the poster and ask.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Because it's such a funny video. I did that. I went back for all the ones I had filmed and hadn't released or privated, and I asked, and some said yes, and some said no. And one of the ones that said yes was still a draft, and I was like, yes, because that was a cool, and I got to post it. So anyway, we'll see you guys later. This has been Mayday. Thank you so much for joining us.